Hi, I'm Tricia at Club Scrap with the Sweet on You Special Edition page kit. This is a remix. We've done this collection in the past, but we made some tweaks and updates, and I think you're going to love this edition. So we've got some wonderful goodies. I've set those aside along with the beautiful ribbon. I have my instructions printed here, and then my accordion pocket file that I'll place under my trimmer base to hold everything that I'm going to be trimming in a few moments. So let's grab our instructions, and I will walk you through the order of the papers. So let's just get that paper sorted out. I like to keep it on its end so I can see everything I've got. And let's start finding those pieces in the order we'll use them. So we've got we're calling this the wood print. So I'll put that face down on my trimmer base, followed by one of the love prints. So that too will go face down. Next, I want you to find 2 brown. Now be mindful that there are 3 in your kit, so only grab 2 of them. And then there's 3 of all the plain colors actually. So now take one of those pink, it's just a plain pink. So you can see that we've got a metallic and then a light pink. So I'm just calling this pink, grab one of those. And then a pink metallic. This has a smooth side and then a textured side. Next we'll be working with the red. So just take one red. This has a lovely linen-like texture. And then another pink metallic. Make sure you have one. Do I have one here? It's very heavy. Nice 100-pound cover weight. Then we're going to get into our Cutaparts. So let's do the one that has this light pink strip on it that says "Love You More." My sister always says that to me. And then we're going to do this other one with the wood textured strips on the end. Then let's find the red, one of the reds here, followed by a brown plain. Then we're going to go with this lighter pink, or just plain pink. And then that other love print. So I'm going to put that face down. So we're kind of building up backwards here. We'll flip the whole stack over. And next I want you to take this remaining pink, another pink, yes. And then the remaining pink metallic. And finally we'll end with the wood print. And your very last sheet should be the red. Now if you're missing something, it could very well be that you grabbed 2 instead of 1. Remember, there are 3 each of all the plain paper, so just make sure, double check you don't have anything stuck together there. That happens in class a lot. Or if we got it wrong, let us know and we'll make it right. All right, let's get some trimming done. We're gonna grab our wood print now. We flip the whole stack back over so that this is back on top. And let's make our first cut at 7 1/4. And just a couple quick reminders, if you're new to this trimmer, make sure that the paper is level right here in line with the ridge, and that you're stabilizing on that clear bar so the paper doesn't wiggle around when the blade comes down. So that was at 7 1/4, and then I'm going to slide all the way down to 3. So my trim is kind of strategic here, 3 inches. And I'm going to take this piece and this one, and they're both going to go in pockets 7 and 8. Again, if you're new and you don't have this accordion pocket file, reach out to us. We'll help you figure out how to make one of your own. And place these long 12-inch pieces at an angle into the pocket so you can still see the numbers on the left. Next, this lovely piece is going to go into pocket 1 and 2, also at an angle. And then we'll take this love print, and we're going to place this in the trimmer so the word love is in the lower left corner. And our first cut is going to be at 10 inches, and that will strategically remove this Forever Mine from the end. And then slide down without rotating and trim at 5 1/4. Now, if I'm going too fast, you can adjust your playback speed in your settings to like 0.75. That'll really slow me down. So take this large love piece and pop that in 3 and 4, and then pick up this next all paisley piece. We're going to trim that into some photo mats. So we'll start at 11 1/4, 7 1/2, and 3 3/4. All right, gather up these 3 rectangles, and we're going to pop those in 5 and 6. There's going to be this tiny little piece here that is used in 1 and 2. And then finally, this last piece is the Forever Mine goes in 3 and 4. Okay, and moving on to page 2. If you're following along, we have a nice, easy instructions for this first brown. Just make sure you grab one of them, and we'll trim it at 6. This is so easy. I love this one. And then stack the 2 pieces that are the same size, and we're going to trim them horizontally at 8 and 4. Now let's gather them up, and 3 of the pieces, they should all be the same size. 3 of them go in pocket 1 and 2. 2 of them go in 3 and 4. And the last one, 5 and 6. Okay, now it's going to get exciting. We're taking the other brown, and we'll cut at 11, 10. These are making tiny pieces, or 1-inch pieces. Now a really tiny piece, we're going to just slide to 9 3/4. Oh, it's going to be a little guy. Then 8 1/2. And 4 1/2. Rotate the 4 1/2-inch piece and trim at 8 and 4. Okay, then you can gather up those pieces. They should be the same size rectangle, and those are going to go in 7 and 8. Then take the next strip. This is only 4 inches wide, and we will trim at 8 1/4 and 4 1/2. Take that 4 1/2-inch piece and pocket it in 7 and 8. The next 2 should be the same size. Those are going in 3 and 4. Now we have a series of strips. I'm going to pick up all the strips at once. Take the first one, the really skinny one, and one of the pieces that are the same. So basically 3 pieces minus just this one. These 3, they're going to go in pocket 3 and 4. And then this last 1-inch strip goes in 5 and 6. Moving on now to the pink. We're going to do a classic. We're going to make some 4 1/4 by 6 1/4-inch photo mats, some border strips, and some squares. Okay, so let's start at 10 1/2, and then 6 1/4. So if you've been around, you've done this one a lot. Now rotate. So the 6 1/4-inch piece is horizontal, and we'll cut at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. So that's going to give me 2 really nice size photo mats going in pocket 1 and 2. And if you'll just notice, the brown that we placed in the pocket already will nest beautifully with these pink mats that the pinks we just created. Okay, then you have this little rectangle here. I want you to trim this at 3 3/4, and that's going to give you a square for pocket 3 and 4. And leave you this little guy. And if we trim this one at 2 1/2, that's going to give us another square for pocket 3 and 4. Now, this last piece is a rescued scrap. We're going to use this in 1 and 2, but it hasn't reached its final size, and you'll know what I mean in a little while. Then we have another strip here. This is 4 1/4 by 12 right now. Just trim that at 6 1/4. And that goes in pocket 5 and 6. And then we have the slightly smaller one going into 7 and 8. And then this long strip also goes in 7 and 8. Now we're onto the pink metallic. We're going to do something almost exactly the same as that we just did. So 10 1/2 is our first cut. I hope I remember to do this right. Then 6 1/4. Rotate and trim at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. This is the same, so far, the same. 2 of these pieces now go in pocket 5 and 6. Let's start next piece. Once again, we're going to cut at 3 3/4, and that piece goes in 3 and 4. Now we're going to make a square out of this by trimming at 2 1/2. And he goes in 3 and 4. And this little guy, we are going to use him. He goes in 1 and 2. Now, here's where we make a difference. We're just going to cut this in half. That's nice and easy math. We're going to cut at 6. And stack up the 2 pieces that are the same. And those are going to go in 3 and 4. And once again, this larger, wider piece, 7 and 8. And we're moving on to red. Okay, once again, we're starting at 10 1/2. This is the 3rd time in a row. And slide to 6 1/4, 3rd time in a row. Rotate, and we'll cut at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. So we do this all again. And we made 2 photo mats the same size, going in pocket 7 and 8. This piece, we're not going to trim it. It just goes in 3 and 4. Then this next strip, cut at 6 1/4. And both of these pieces, even though they're different sizes, they're both going to go in 1 and 2. And finally, this strip here goes in 5 and 6. Okay, now we've reached the last plain sheet. After this, we do cut-aparts, and I usually save the most challenging cuts for the last. Now that you're all warmed up, we're going to cut a bunch of narrow strips. So we'll start out at 11 3/4, then 11 1/2, then 11 1/4. I'm going to part from that pattern and go down to 10 1/2. 9 3/4, then all the way down to 7, and then 3 3/4. Wow, that was a lot of cuts. And we have more to come. I'm going to rotate this guy, and we're going to start out on the horizontal. So this is the one, the last piece that was in your trimmer gets rotated, and our first cut here is at 10 1/4, 8, 5 3/4. Okay, so you made this longer rectangle and then these 2 weird sized pieces. All 3 of them go in 5 and 6, and then this narrow one is again used kind of as a scrap in 1 and 2. Now we have this next strip. This is currently 3 1/4. Our first cut is at 11 3/4, 8, 4 1/4. Okay, so the 4 1/4 inch piece goes in pocket 1 and 2. The next 2 pieces are the same, 5 and 6. You have this tiny piece, and guess where it goes? 1 and 2. Okay, now the next strip, we're going to cut into some squares and a scrap. That won't be a scrap, actually. All right, 11, 8 1/4, 5 1/2, 2 3/4. We just made a bunch of squares, as I mentioned, and this little guy. So the three of these squares go in pocket 1 and 2. And then the other one goes in 7 and 8. You do have a 1 inch piece. Of course, we're going to put that in pocket 1 and 2. And now all that's left are these strips. So if I just grab them all, we're going to take the 2 wider ones. One goes in pocket 1 and 2. And then I want you to take 1 wider and 2 skinny. Those are going to go in 7 and 8. And then this last skinny one, 3 and 4. Okay, we've arrived at the cut-aparts. Now, as there will always be someone who's never taken my workshop with me before, so I need to quick point out that there is a little crosshair at the corner, each corner of this entire sheet of cut-aparts. And the purpose of that is to give us a cutting guide for our first framing cut. We wanted to just end up with a perfectly trimmed 12 by 12. So I'm going to line up that little hash mark I showed you with the edge of my blade and give this a trim. And then I'm going to rotate and once again line up this mark with the edge of the blade. And now at this point I can see also at the bottom and the top now for alignment. Now when I rotate this time, I should be able to look at 12 inches. And if it's not perfect, I can just make a little fine-tuned cut one more time. Then rotate, and again I should be able to see 12 inches on the left, 12 inches on the, and line up with this edge on the right. And then I can just go back and double check here. This is looking pretty good. So I've removed the perimeter of this piece. So we start out with a nicely trimmed 12 by 12. I found that those large commercial trimmers, there's no margin for error on this, and there is slight margin for error on the trimmer. So I wanted to always have it be nice and perfect for you. Now we're going to place this in the trimmer so that Love You More is on the right, and our first cut here is going to be at 11. So we're just going to separate all these images, let them pile up, and we'll file them together. Then 10, and 9 1/4, 8 1/2, 7 1/4, and 4. Rotate that 4-inch piece so it's horizontal, and we'll cut at 11 and 5 1/2. Okay, now you notice how this piece has, it's going to be a tag. It's easy to make a tag right now while we have our trimmer out. And I'll just mention that you could, of course, use a ruler and craft knife, but I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to close one eye and kind of close the blade and try to line up a margin that equals the rest of the margin on this piece. I just moved it again. Once you find it, just snip it, and it goes really quick, and it's nice and straight. So there I have a nice tag, and that goes in pocket 7 and 8. We'll file all of these pieces together. Now for this piece, from a decorative standpoint, you see how it has these cute little corners? If you happen to have a little circle punch, I just kind of eyeball where that corner is and scoot out about 1/8 of an inch and punch it. So maybe you have some sort of a decorative scissors or something that would do a nice job with this. You can just leave it as it is, or you could use scissors to make a little curvy cut to match. Totally up to you, but I like those little decorative corners. It doesn't take much, and it just enhances everything. So this goes now in pocket 1 and 2, along with this little Forever Yours piece. That's going to go in 5 and 6. And let's take the next strip. The top of it says Besides Chocolate. I want the hearts on the right, and we're going to trim here at 11 1/2, and then 8 3/4, and 6. All right, so Besides Chocolate, this piece can go in 3 and 4. And then these other two, True Love, these also go, both of them in 3 and 4. And then you have the little strip of hearts, 7 and 8. A lot of fun pieces in this collection. Now carefully pick up the rest of the strips and let's file them all. So Sweet on You, 7 and 8. The one paisley border in 3 and 4. The other one in 5 and 6. Now we have all these words. I ended up trimming them out and then matting them with all those little scraps that I threw in the pile. So I'll explain more about this, but all of them are used in 1 and 2. And then Love You More is in 3 and 4. Okay, we get to do a repeat of just trimming our perimeter. So go ahead and do what you did with the last cut apart. It's probably the most tedious little prep task that we do, but again, worth the effort to have a nice place to start with these cut aparts. Okay, so I've removed those edges, and I'm going to place this in the trimmer. You should have like XOXO will be in the left, and our first cut here is going to be at 10 3/4, and then 10 1/4, 9 3/4, 7 1/4, 3 3/4. Now rotate and make sure the word Sweetheart is on your right. We'll cut at 11, 8 1/4, 5 1/2, 2 3/4. We have some tag shapes, so I'm just gonna clip those corners on the XOXO, and we'll pop this in 7 and 8. Now I've got more corners on this guy, so I'll quick trim those out. Remember the one-eyed technique? And that goes in 1 and 2. Here we have the Journaling Prompt in 7 and 8. And then this You'll Never Know Dear, 1 and 2. Sweetheart, 1 and 2. Okay, now this next piece, make sure this is on the right, the When You Love What You Have. That's at 9 and 6. Now at this point, I'm just going to take scissors and I'll do a rough cut. Later I can do it in detail, but this heart as well as the smaller heart both go in pocket 3 and 4. Now we have these little pieces that go with the tags. So I'm just going to trim those apart too. They end up being pretty small. You could use them with, trim them with a craft knife or a little trimmer or just scissors. And let's see, we've got an XO going into 3 and 4. The love was used in 1 and 2. Hugs, 3 and 4. And love, 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 7 and 8. Does it matter which? No, it does not really matter. But, you know, sometimes people just do want to know. And then now we have these 2 pieces. Both of them go in pocket 5 and 6. So many pieces in this kit. It's amazing. Now we're going to go with this last piece. Make sure that this checkered heart is on the right. We'll trim at 10. Let's see. 7 and a half. 5. 2 and a half. Okay, let's see where these go. Not to brag, goes in 7 and 8, and the next three paisley background pieces go in 1 and 2, and then I just want to grab your hand and be like, you're mine. That goes in 3 and 4. Some strips here. We've got some wood strip in 1 and 2, and then the other one in 7 and 8. And this last title strip, 7 and 8. And now we are done with the trimming. Woohoo! Just get rid of your scraps, get your trimmer out of the way, and we'll begin with the next phase, the dry fit. So dry fit basically means no adhesive. At this point, I'm not going to adhere anything. Take the entire remaining stack of paper that you have left. The red should be on the top, as planned. And then this is the center-ish of my workspace. So I'm going to pick up the top sheet and slide it to the right. So that should give me 1 brown and a whole stack of paper underneath it and 1 red on the right. Meanwhile, let's turn in our instructions all the way back to page 5, layout 7 and 8. So that's the bottom picture. What I want to do with this phase is build our layouts up from number 8 to number 1 without adhesive, and then we can go back and glue everything down from 1 to 8. That way we know everything's in its place before we start adhering anything. So that's why we do this whole backwards thing. It seems to work pretty well, and most Club Scrap members and long time in the family, that this method does work pretty well for them. So I hope that you find that to be the case if you're new here as well. And believe me, you know, I'm sure it seems a little overwhelming at this point, but it won't take long for you to get your wings and fly with us using this fun method of prepping up front and then just relaxing and putting the pieces of the puzzle together. So while I was yammering away, I was arranging all the items from pocket 7 and 8 into the palm of my hand. And the reason I do that is because distribution to the pages is a lot easier from your hand than it is from the table. You'll know that's true because when you play cards and you deal out like playing cards, you deal it from your hand, not the tabletop. Okay, so now here we have this piece with the brick, or with the wood paneling here. I'm going to put that on the left. And as long as I can see, I've got these metallic strips. I'm going to place those on either side of that wood pattern because it helps differentiate a little bit from the dark background. Across the top here, I'm going to take this wider metallic strip and nest it with this All You Need Is Love, but a little chocolate now and then doesn't hurt. Horizontally, in this space that we've just created, I'm going to add my red horizontal mats. And what you're looking for then is to create a frame for the mats with these other 2 crisscrossing elements. Let's go to the right side here. We've got this cute little strip from the print going on the right, and then we're going to flank that with a metallic pink border. I like to kind of check the grain, have it facing down, and then I'm going to nest it with another wood piece. Again, that creates contrast for the space. Now, dead center, just right across the middle. I actually used my ruler to measure this piece into the center. And I'm going to nest it with Sweet on You. I'll show you a fun little embellishment trick I did with that. And now here we have 4 of these brown pieces. They should be the same size. They are. So I'm going to put 2 vertically above, and this was measured very carefully to just fit. And then 2 right below. So you got room for lots of photos here. I like that. If you have one larger photo, you could stretch it across both mats. No problem. And then let's see what's left. We've got this larger tag shape. Now you can do the same thing with your trimmer. Once you attach this, just clip, clip with the one-eyed technique. I'm going to give that an official name now. I just know it. That's going to go here. And then this is going to sit above, like in this space. And I actually cut a little notch into this tag so I could tuck the corner of this tag on top of it. And then the not to brag or anything, this one, so nestles right in there. This is going to stretch and tuck kind of right behind there. Give it a little anchor. Love that. Here we have our journaling prompt on the right. Now, if you happen to have a corner chomper, some of the artwork in here does have a slightly rounded corner, and I just thought a nice finishing touch was the 1/4 inch radius on our corner chomper, if you happen to have one. And then, let's see, we've got a white tag. This love, love, love ends up, I'll just snip this to show that you can do that if you'd like. I was very precise and actually used a craft knife, but you can see that works really well. And if you happen to have some like waxed linen thread or just some kind of a thread, you can add some jute, would be really cute with this. I do keep that on hand. Let's see, right down by my work here. I've got like something like this would be really cute. I didn't include it in the kit. I wish I would have, but you can just top it with something. And I hung that from the ribbon that goes across here, as well as one of these cute little silver heart charms. Oh, I had this one last piece in here, and that gets matted with the not to brag, so it gives that a little contrast. Now I have more things to point out on the finished layout samples, so let's just switch to that so you can see how this all came together. All right, we have, this is layout 1. All right, here is layout 8. A couple of important things. You can see here that I have the linen thread, but I did secure this with foam adhesive, just like one of these guys. We can have these cute foam adhesive circles that have the tabs that make the backing really easy to remove. So grab some of those if you don't have some. And then I use bookbinding glue to secure the charm here. Now, here I just punched a hole right into the border strip and then wrap the ribbon around to the back. That works out really, really well. It leaves no lumps on your page. So this is great for card making too. Just sneak that ribbon through in a different way so you don't have to worry about knots and adding postage. So you could just, from this, the end of the ribbon is right here and just taped in place. Works really slick. On the facing page then, ooh la la, I made this huge bow. This is a double looped bow from the red double face satin, and I admit I've been using it a lot because I recently learned how to make this bow. You can see I punched some holes in the tags here and added just ribbon, threaded it through without knotting it again, and matted it on the back. This has been attached with a glue line, and I think I just will quick show you one more time. This will be the 3rd time how to make this double loop bow. So I basically start with my non-dominant hand, like the number 4, like I'm holding 4 fingers up, and then bring the ribbon down and up and over your index finger and around it. Then over your 2nd or your 3rd and 4th finger, and then around the 5th. Then go all the way around again without threading it through any fingers. What that's doing is creating a smaller loop and a larger loop. Now when you come back around here, this time I want you to double back to the palm and go through all of your fingers in between finger 3 and 4 with that ribbon. Just push it right through underneath everything. Do you see that happening? It's going around everything, and that's what's creating the center of your bow. Okay. Then this time when I come back, I'm just going to bring the ribbon around the piece that made that loop. And then when I get there, I'm going to pull it. I hope you saw that. Okay, then I'm going to very carefully remove the bow from my fingertips. Check it out. Oh, let's see, where's my fabric scissors? I keep a special mini scissors that I only trim satin with because paper scissors tends to trim at an angle toward the fold, toward the knot. And that gives me a nice swallow's tail. Isn't that a beautiful bow? It just makes me incredibly happy. Okay, so that's the story on this page. I'm going to set these aside, and I typically pass my prepped pages on to Karen. She's going to be so glad I made that bow for her, even though I did teach her how to make it. Now I'm going to take layout 7 and slide it on top of 8. I know that all the pieces are going to fall down to the bottom of the package, but believe me, once you get everything sort of, it goes back together in no time. This is just a great, efficient way to prep. And that now, like, let's say you get these kits every month and you manage to get this far with them. Next time you go to a crop, just bring your bags of prepped pages, and all you gotta do is sit and glue everything down, and you'll impress your friends with your efficiency. Okay, now I've emptied out everything from pocket 5 and 6. I'm looking at this image here. All the stuff's in the palm of my hand. Okay, so let's see. Where are our printed pieces here? We've got 3 of these paisleys. Now, I am going to lay them in a row, like film strip style, and you'll notice that a beautiful border can form around each side of the piece when we are doing it that way. One of the brown strips will add some contrast between the areas, and we can nest with yet another paisley piece. Cool, right? Now, we have 2 larger pink mats here. Those are going to be placed horizontally. These are the metallic ones, just above the words "Forever Mine." And then we should have just a plain pink, and that will nest with a brown, and that'll be placed here. And there should be a tiny little "Forever Yours." I just placed it right on top of there. I know it makes a smaller mat, but I kind of liked the finishing touch there. I also, just so you can see, I also added a tiny little heart charm right next to the "Forever Yours. And I made a small basic bow from this soft pink ribbon. Now, I built kind of a fun, oh, I think this red strip has been misfiled. I apologize. I will find where that goes. Okay, now we've got this piece directly in the middle. It's actually the same height as its neighbor, as are these other pieces. So then I'm going to take a large rectangle, place it here, and then a small rectangle next to it. And I'll do a large rectangle here with a small rectangle next to it. And then this one gets the deeper red, and this gets the softer pink, and it's like a puzzle. I love how that turned out. Let's take a look at how we finish these layouts. I mean, it's pretty easy, right? Here, again, another basic bow. I just added it with a glue line to hold it in place, and that's all I did. Over here on the left side, another basic bow here. I topped the charm with some waxed linen. And then here I took a craft knife and ran it along the heart so I could slide this piece behind the page and keep the heart in the foreground. And then I topped it off with one of these quilted hearts. Now, to glue the quilted heart in place, I had some Club Scrap bookbinding glue. As always, I keep this handy all the time. And I just put it generously all over this patched, puffy heart. And then I placed it where I wanted it to be, and I covered it with my old thesaurus. So I should have put a thesaurus on your supply list. Just a heavy book. Any heavy book will do. Maybe you don't even have heavy books laying around your house anymore. I know I do. So and then just let it cure, and then when you lift up your book, it'll be there to stay. Okay, now I'm sliding. Again, continuing the dry fit phase. I'm going to figure out what happened with my red strip. I bet it's on this one. Right here. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to grab my accordion pocket file and take everything out of pocket 3 and 4. And I can see right away, after I get this all in the palm of my hand, that this largest piece goes up flush with the top edge on the left side. And then you can run, but you can't hide. No, you can run this little border along the edge there. And then the Forever Mine portion of the print's going to go down here. So it's kind of cool. It was one print. We have some of it here, some of it there, and the other 3 pieces are on that other layout run along the left edge. So it's kind of cool how that worked out. Let's see. Now, above that Forever Mine, I'm going to add this metallic. I wanted to carry more of this pink shade over to this side. And then I'm going to put 2 vertical pink, metallic pink mats. And then we've got overlapping slightly the word true love and any day I spend, just onto those, slight overlap. Now on the red, we're going to add the wider brown. And on top of that, so it's a triple matte or double matte, love you more. If you happen to have access to this burlap heart, I kind of have it kind of going right into this wood area. And then that will fit. Jacqueline designed that to fit right in there. Isn't that clever? And then this one couples up with that. And I also did use one of the quilted hearts there as well. Just made a nice little trio of hearts. Okay, now on the left, we have 2 mats. And then we have this other one along with besides chocolate. So that fits right into there. Oh, that's why I'm a little low here. Then we have this nested piece. Everything comes up slightly and that piece goes there. Sorry if you misled you a little bit on that one. We've got this going on. We've got 2 vertical brown, and you can put 1 metallic, should fit, and then 1 pink on the top fits. Now I've got my metallic, my pink is drawn over from this side visually. And then we have these, we're kind of mirroring what's happening here, over there, with the 2 small squares. That's going to go there. We have 1 more of those white shade tags. And then a craft one up here. And then we've got the hugs going on this one. And then the XOXO. I'm not sure what happened to that. I know it's around here somewhere. At this point, I'm going to show you that finished page 4 we're on already. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so here you have all of this heart action going on. You can see this cut apart fits the embellishment, and this embellishment fits the cut apart. I love it when a project comes together. And then we have the little hugs tag on top of that with the wax linen bow, and I made a nice bow from that beautiful rustic cotton ribbon, and everything else is what we talked about. Let's see on page 3. Nothing different on the top here, but I formed this fun trio of items down here. So we've got the foundation of the cut apart, then the sentiment, the charm, and then the tag, and these 2 items are attached with foam adhesive circles, and that gives it some nice pop of dimension there. Okay, so let's slide this guy. I hope the method's kind of coming together and making sense to you now. And we've got the base of layouts 1 and 2, which again is at the top of this page here. And there's a lot of stuff in this pocket. I apologize. I had a little more personal time to be able to make these pages, and I was just enjoying the creative process. So I hope you don't mind that it increased the complexity just slightly, but I think in the end, the effort is well worth it. Okay, let's see. You know, we're only at 39 minutes. That's not bad for prepping, sorting, filing, trimming, cut-aparts, dry fitting. This goes into the left edge. Notice again, I'm delivering from the palm of my hand. I'll nest this metallic pink with one of the wood textured strips. How about 2 horizontal pink mats in that final space, nested with 2 smaller brown mats. Okay, now we have this little piece that would have been a scrap, but no, we're going to pretend this goes all the way across. And we'll nest it with, you'll never know, dear, how much I love you. That'll fit in there perfectly. And then just tuck behind it, sweetheart. Okay, and then there's a tag with the, I'll come across all my little, oh, this is the love. Very good. Now, on the right side, we're going to take that red mat. Make sure it's the larger one. It should nest well with the brown. And then we should have a larger, or smaller-ish, just slightly smaller red one, nesting with this guy. Even this little bitty piece, we're going to add it across and nest it on top of the paisley. It's so cute. Okay, ignore this for now, and these 4 little tiny scraps. Now you've got a tall piece fitting here, a row of 3 metallic pink, and then a row of sweet love and a journaling prompt. Now with this, you can use either a craft knife and cutting mat, a trimmer, a scissors, and just trim out these words. So I'll just demonstrate. You can trim that always will pretty readily with scissors. Or if you have one of those tiny little trimmers, those work good too. And then you'll adhere it to one of the remaining scraps, just in the corner with a 1/16 inch reveal, and cut around that. That's all there is to it. You're just matting it with that. That step is completely at your whim. If you are not in the mood for that, that's fine. Turned out at the time I made these layouts, I was in the mood. So let's go over those finishing details. Over here I've got the last quilted heart. This is the page 2. Attach these with the foam circles after I clipped those corners with my 1-inch punch, as I showed you earlier. Then I did a little trick here. I do this a lot, punch a hole in the tag, thread it with ribbon, and wrap those ends around at the back. Then just take the ribbon. I had so much red satin to work with, it was really fun. And then just pull one of these moves. That's it. And then I just took my special magic satin scissors. They're Singer brand from, I just got them online. Once I had this piece, it's just separate. All I did was add it to the top. I didn't tie this onto anything. So that's my favorite little ribbon trick. It's simple. So that's this side. Again, this is foam adhesive kind of popping it up, and I have it overlapping this a little bit. Okay, page 1, and this is where all this kind of fussy stuff happened. I loved you then, love you still, always have, always will. Again, that was done with a combination of craft knife, ruler, cutting mat, but again, you can use scissors or you can skip it all together. Rounded the corners of this and this piece as well, attach this one with foam. And then you can see my little trickery. Those narrow strips that would have gone into the circular bin are fooling the eye to think that that's a long border anchoring this piece, and then finish it with the tag and charm. Isn't that just lovely? What you would do at this point is just pile this on top of here. Now let's say you are going to call it a night, like I am, because it's past 8 o'clock p.m. and you can stack all that stuff up. And let's say you want to get back to it later. You know how these bags have this now exposed adhesive on the flap? Not to worry. I'll take that bag and set it on my work surface so that that flap is at the top and the adhesive is stuck to the table. Then you can just flip the bag back. I call that the stick and flip. And the mouth of the bag is open to you so that you can easily load. It kind of holds the bag for you. You can add whatever you want in there. And I usually just take the instructions then and slide them in so you know what's in this particular bag. And the next time you go to a crop, it's ready to go as long as you have some adhesive, maybe your tape, your glue, and your pictures. You will be the most productive person in the room as you make these 8 beautiful Sweet on You pages. And you know, I've seen people bring a year's worth of prepped kits to a crop and get them all done, hundreds of pages at a time. So that's my inspirational message for you for the new year. I hope you love this Sweet on You remix. And keep in mind that you can also make all kinds of other fun projects with the same kit by following other project instructions we have out there for you. So thanks for joining me in class today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.